In this example, we want to graph an exponential function with transformations and then state the domain and range of the function. This example says to sketch the graph of f of x equals -4 plus 3 to the x minus 2, and then state the domain and range of this function. To do this, what we're going to do is think of what's called the parent function. The parent function, in this case, is 3 to the x. 3 to the x is a basic exponential graph. Since the base is greater than 1, we know that it will be increasing as we go from left to right. So let's plot a couple of points that this one goes through. We know that 3 to the x goes through 0, 1, and we know that it also goes through 1, 3. We can fill in the rest of the picture with a rough graph like this. So this is 3 to the x. Using this graph, we can come up with the graph of f of x, -4 plus 3 to the x plus 2. First, what we want to do is translate the graph according to what is indicated in the exponent. This x plus 2 indicates that we should take this graph and move it 2 units to the left. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to take this graph and move each point 2 units to the left. That's why graphing each of these individual points is helpful, because it helps keep your frame of reference. So I'm going to take this and move it 2 units to the left and move this one 2 units to the left. All right. This -4 tells me to move down 4 units from here. So I'm going to take this point now and move it down 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to take this point down, or this point here rather, and move down 1, 2, 3, 4. Also keep in mind that the horizontal asymptote in this case is y equals 0. I can also move that down 4 units as well. So that should be, instead of y equals 0, is now at y equals -4, which is right here. Let me fill that in. Okay, and I can now complete the rest of the graph and get a good idea for how it looks. Okay, so this would be basically how it looks. All right, and you could always plot more points to get a more exact graph, but we have a basic idea for how this thing looks using transformations. So to be clear, this is f of x. Okay, the second task was to state the domain and range of this new graph, f of x. So the domain, remember, is the set of all numbers that can be plugged into the function such that it will yield a real result and a defined result. Okay, so the domain in this case is still -∞ to infinity, just like the parent function. The range has changed, however. The range in the original function was 0 to infinity, but because of this -4, we moved this graph down 4 units, and now the range is from -4 to +∞. Keeping in mind not to include the -4 because this is an asymptote. So this is how to graph an exponential function using transformations.